Have you ever felt like you became an adult way before you were supposed to? Like you were the responsible one when no one else was stepping up. Today, we're going to dive into the psychology of what it actually means to grow up too fast. Let's get into it.
For a lot of people, it starts just like this. It's not some big dramatic event that ends childhood. It's more like a slow, quiet realization that the world needs you to be mature. And you have to figure out how to do it, and you have to do it fast.
And this is that exact moment of acceptance, right? It's this silent decision a kid makes to step into a role that was never meant for them just because there's a void. It's a choice that isn't really a choice at all. It's born out of pure necessity.
This whole experience, it forges a very unique kind of person. We're going to call them the quiet adult. So let's take a look at the psychology behind what makes them tick.
So the core psychological term for this is parentification. And look, this isn't just about doing extra chores. It's about carrying heavy emotional weight. It's about being the mediator in fights, or the secret keeper, or the emotional rock for a parent. It's a burden that's just way too heavy for a kid's brain to handle.
So how does this responsibility become so deeply wired into you? Well, it's a pretty intense process of adaptation under pressure.
Your brain is just incredible at adapting to survive, right? It all starts with a simple observation. There's a need here, so it adapts. It literally pushes its own needs for play, for comfort, for just being a kid off to the side. And in their place, it develops these adult skills, like problem solving and staying calm under pressure. But the unintended lesson here, the one that really sticks, is a powerful one. My feelings come last.
So when you learn you can't consistently rely on other people for support, what do? You learn to rely only on yourself. And this isn't that celebrated, I'm an adult now kind of independence. Psychology actually calls this survival independence. It's a defense mechanism, plain and simple.
Now this is where it gets really interesting, because you've got this huge contrast. On the outside, this person looks like the absolute picture of strength. They're capable, they're calm, they seem to have it all together. But the internal reality, that's a whole different story. It's a constant struggle to trust people, a deep feeling of being completely alone, and eventually, you just stop even trying to ask for help.
This huge disconnect between the outside and the inside, well, it creates a pretty unsettled inner world. Let's explore the psychological cost of that.
Psychologists call this split maturity. Think of it like a tree that's growing all unevenly. The branches of responsibility and wisdom, they shoot up incredibly fast. But the roots, the parts that need emotional safety and nurturing, they stay underdeveloped. And here's the crucial point. You can feel wise beyond your years, but at the very same time feel totally lost and confused, kind of like a little kid on the inside.
Let me ask you this. Does this question hit home? For so many people who grew up too fast, this simple idea of just resting can feel intensely uncomfortable, almost threatening. So why is that?
The reason is basically a conditioned response. In a chaotic or unpredictable childhood, those quiet moments were often just the calm before the storm. Your nervous system literally learned that rest isn't safe. It's a warning sign. So as an adult, that programming is still running, making relaxation feel like you're just letting your guard down for something bad to happen.
So how does all of this affect your relationships? Well, this constant sense of responsibility comes at a really high cost, especially when it comes to caring for other people and for yourself.
I mean, think about it. When your entire identity has been built around being the caregiver, the one who fixes things, needing care yourself just feels fundamentally wrong. It can trigger this really profound sense of guilt.
And this quote right here, this is the core belief that drives that guilt. It's not just a fleeting feeling. Attachment research shows us it's a deep-seated conviction. You see, receiving support not as an act of kindness, but as you placing a burden on someone else.
All of this leads to one final trait, something called guarded empathy. It means you become incredibly tuned in to how other people are feeling. You can read a room in a second. But because you know exactly how heavy it is to take on those emotions, you build a wall. It's a way to protect yourself, right? To care from a distance so you don't get pulled under.
So, if any of this is feeling familiar, what now? Well, this final section isn't about fixing something that's broken. It's all about reframing the whole story.
And this right here is probably the most important takeaway of all. This isn't a story about being damaged. It is a story of incredible adaptation. Your mind and your body did exactly what they had to do to survive a high-pressure environment. You learned responsibility before you learned about safety. You learned strength before you learned softness. So let's just build a new perspective with this. The way you might see yourself, as broken or damaged, that's a misconception. The psychological reality is that you adopted. You weren't weak, you were under immense pressure. And what you became, as a result, was actually incredibly strong.
And that's why healing from this isn't about unlearning your strength or becoming dependent on others. It's just about finally giving yourself permission. Permission to stop solving everyone's problems, to stop carrying all that weight, and to finally rest. It's about acknowledging that the battle you were fighting, it's over now.
So I'll leave you with this question to think about. If you're someone who grew up responsible for way more than any child ever should, just take a moment and ask yourself, are you still carrying that weight long after you earn the right to put it down?